What up, people? It's your boy Chib from Green and Eagle Eye. That's right, you're through to the chopping block. Now, for those of you who are not used to this video series, every summer I do a chopping block series where I talk about players that Arsenal should get rid of. It's a video series that you guys seem to have liked and enjoyed over the months that I've done it. Didn't do it in January for some weird reason. I just didn't end up or get around to doing it. What's playing in the background is some traditional African beats. You're down, Skippy. It's all part of the gimmick. Don't worry. Go seek it out. It will all make sense to you. So in this video, this is a bit of a Mems-inspired video. So shout out to Mems if he's watching this. But he made a point and a tweet of saying that, there's going to be a number of players watching their back when a new manager comes in. And it made me think, yeah, they would be. So here are the 10 players that I think are most likely to miss out or are effectively playing for their futures before the new manager comes in. So first up is Petr Cech. Petr Cech is now 34 years old. Is one of the Premier League's all-time best keepers. We had the opportunity to bring him in 2014 for £10 million from Chelsea. And I remember it was a big surprise for a lot of people that we were able to secure Cech, because it was Petr Cech, and not only that, it was Jose selling to Arsene Wenger. Never thought such a thing would happen, but it did. We secured him. And then we could see that there was definitely a decline. I remember very early on into his Arsenal career, he had this horrible habit of being beaten at his near post. And he's never really had a season where he's excelled since. That season was pretty significant for me personally, because that summer in particular was the moment I realised, oh shit, I'm a Wenger out. I want him out now. And Cech almost personifies the situation with Arsene Wenger. Someone who was once a great, but the game has passed him by and he hasn't really adapted as a goalkeeper. The goalkeeper position these days demands a goalkeeper to be more of, it's not just about being a good shot stopper anymore, but you've got to be good at your near post, you've got to be good at your away post, you've got to be able to be a sweeper keeper. None of those things he's particularly good at doing. He's a pretty good shot stopper, to be fair, but not at his near post he ain't. And for me, I think Petr Cech is playing for his future. Something tells me he'd want to see out his contract at the very least. I actually think David Ospina is more likely to leave than him, who I'll come back to. But Petr Cech for me is number 1 on that list. Number 2 on that list, I guess I spoiled the surprise, is David Ospina. For me, when it gets to the point where you can't really tell out of the two keepers who you'd prefer, like most people who do their previews, can't really ever tell who they prefer to play, Ospina or Cech, you don't really have that great of a number 2. I want my number 2s to be putting pressure on the likes of Petr Cech. I think that's how people like Wojciech Szczęsny even got into the team in the first place. He was a number 3 keeper, if you remember. And then started playing games and his talent was undeniable. Unfortunately, we're not reaping the benefits of his talent, but that's another moan for another day. To me, I think Ospina's not good enough. I'd personally sell him. If he wants to leave so badly, let him go. I don't think he has the height. I don't think he has the concentration skills. I think he's a good shot stopper when he wants to be, but that's about it. For me, one of the most exciting things about Wenger going is getting a manager who knows at least a little bit more about keepers than seemingly Wenger knows. So David Ospina for me is off. Number 3 is, ironically, a fullback, Hector Bellerin. For me, his place is under pressure. Now, I think whether Hector stays or goes, I do think we need a right back, because he has no cover, he has no one to pressure him. But even when he is playing, he's never reassuring. He's fast, he's young, and he's Spanish. As far as I can see, those are the only reasons he's in the team. Because defensively, he's not great. Attacking-wise these days, he's not that great. I don't think he's had a particularly good season. To me, if he wants to go to Barcelona that bad, Barca, come and get him, bruv. Come and get him. Let's use the money to get a couple of decent right backs in this bitch. Hector Bellerin, for me, is another one who's playing for his future. Oh, centre backs. Blimey, you could pick any of the four. Mertesacker is retiring, so I'll give him a pass. Mustafi, Squadron Mustafi. Someone that came into the team in the summer of 2016, and I think everybody was excited because finally Wenger had prized open that wallet and decided to spend £35 million on the German defender. And let's be honest, German and defence, you can't be doing badly, surely. I remember seeing the news of that break, and I remember Guillaume Balaguer, who watches Spanish football all the time, was saying he was surprised that Arsenal were in for him. And I thought, fuck. And he kept saying some stuff like he's not good enough for Arsenal. I know it, I just know it, he's not good enough for Arsenal. And then when you really take a step back and think about it like I did on that summer, this was the same guy that was supposedly playing for Gary Neville. And Gary Neville got battered and smoked that season he took over Valencia. And I thought to myself, oh no, what have we done? Because at that time, we were being linked with the likes of Koulibaly. And for some strange reason, we didn't go for Koulibaly. We went for this geezer. To me, Squadron hasn't really improved. If anything, he's declined. I think his reading of the game is poor. I think his presence, his strength is poor. His anticipation is poor. His recovery is poor. I don't know what his future is going to be like because Wenger tried to flog him last summer. And that was after one season with Arsenal. So that makes me think something is amiss here. I can see him going, but he's definitely one player for his future. I think the thing that people keep saying, and I think the reason that people are prepared to give him a pass, is he's 26, 25, 26. He's still very young. And although I've been a major critic of his, I think a lot of people have this plan of, well, let's see what you can do under the guise of a new manager. And if he's still shit, get rid of him. I think he's still going to be shit. So let's get rid of him. But he's one definitely playing for his future. Next to him is his partner, Laurent Koscielny. Another one who, to me, is an epitome of an Arsene Wenger signing. French, athletic, that's about it. I think his anticipation is poor. Reading of the game has always been poor. He's always been really clumsy. But the one thing that Koscielny was always quite good at was his recovery skills. His pace allowed him to recover situations where he would be the one that fucked up. To me, that anticipation seems to have gone. He seems to have slowed down. And I think that Achilles is really weighing down on him. He's 33 years old. As a fellow 33-year-old man, life catches up with you, particularly when you're an athlete. And don't get it twisted, I am no athlete. But with Koscielny, for me, I feel like his days are numbered. I think if he does stay next season, that will be his last season at Arsenal. For me, I don't see him going much past that. We need fresh blood. To me, we need to change that entire defence. And I think he's part of that. He's part of the failures of this season. And to me, Koscielny's playing for his future. Next up is Kolasinac. What? Kolasinac? Kolasinac is next up. Now, to be honest, I think we were all pretty excited by this because he was a free transfer. But we're also paying him $200,000 a week. I think people forget that. He's on a lot of money. And let's be real here. As good as he is going forward, defensively, he's a fucking shambles. And it's very clear that Wenger doesn't fancy him because every time he's had an opportunity to play Kolasinac, I would say 8 times out of 10, he doesn't play him. He'd rather play Ainsley Maitland-Niles there than him. And to me, that's quite damning of the man. I think he's one playing for his future, to be honest. As weird as that sounds. He's only 25, possibly turning 26. A young Serbian, has plenty of time to improve. I would not be against him staying. Having said that, supposedly we're looking at a certain Fulham left back. And if we can get that kid on board, it might be bye-bye Kolasinac, to be perfectly honest. because he'd be a great little understudy for Monreal, who probably has a season at most at top level. So Kolasinac to me is a man playing for his future. So Kolasinac is next up. After that is Granit Xhaka. Now I know, it's harsh because he has improved in the last few games, and he has. But he's a man still playing for his future. To me, and shout out to Stel because he's always said it, he's a man that needs to play with either Aaron Ramsey or a defensive-minded midfielder, which Aaron Ramsey isn't. But he seems to have developed an understanding of Ramsey. But he needs a defensive-minded guy next to him to get the best out of him. I think he has played well recently. I think we have seen him get close to his best. But for someone who we spent £34 million on, I'm expecting to see a lot more. So Granit Xhaka to me is another man playing for his future. Next up is Alex Iwobi. Might surprise you guys that I put Alex Iwobi on there. It doesn't surprise me. Anyone who knows me knows I'm disappointed when it comes to Iwobi. One of my favourite bars on this, and any long-time subscriber of mine will know this, is sentiment should never rule your thought process or rule your reasoning for stuff. And when Iwobi deserves criticism, I'll be the first to say it. And he deserves criticism this season. He's been dog shit this season. There's no getting away from it. I do think he has had a couple of really good games. More than a couple, maybe 4 or 5 really good games this season. But when you consider that we play 50 games in the season, that's not good enough. I'm sorry, it's not good enough. He's a young player, he's 22 years old. He will make mistakes, he will do things that he shouldn't do. He is learning and he is developing. I'm still of the belief a manager could get their teeth into him and really improve him. And if you're one of those people who believe that a manager can improve Mustafi, surely you have that same belief that a manager can improve Iwobi. To me, Iwobi is playing for his future though. The man needs to step up. He needs to use these next 6, hopefully 7 games to really improve, because I tell you what, he's got a lot of work to do. Alex Iwobi is next on that list. So now I've got 2 more. Who could be those 2 more? Danny Welbeck. Now I know Welbeck does get a hard rap from a lot of people. If you're the type of person that likes goals, fucking Welbeck is not that guy for you. He's not that guy for you. But if you're someone who appreciates hard work and effort, as admittedly I do, but even I've started to lose patience with Welbeck. But I do appreciate effort. I do appreciate someone that gives a shit and that tries. And he does try. He really does. But Welbeck, let's face it, he's 28 years old. You're getting to the point where Welbeck is, alright, this ain't a fucking crash. What exactly do you do? Are you allegedly a striker? Why don't you score goals? And that's where I think Welbeck is under pressure to really perform, because to me, he doesn't show enough of that quality that needs to come through. So Danny Welbeck to me is someone who's playing for their future. Last up, and another guy I've defended a lot in the past, is Callum Chambers. I have to be real. I still think he's got it. I still think someone really defensive-minded like a Carlo Ancelotti or a Diego Simeone could improve this kid, because I do think he reads the game really well, but his anticipation is fucking dog shit. His recovery is even worse. So that's the problem we have. We've almost got another Mertesacker in Callum Chambers. I do think that he could improve that. I think he will get there. But he is someone who's playing for their future. I hope Wenger stops playing him on the right-hand side, because that's not doing any good for his confidence or the perception that the kid will be good enough. He's a centre-back. Play him as a motherfucking centre-back. Callum Chambers is the last player that I believe is playing for his future. You guys let me know what you think. This is not an exhaustive list. So before you shout out names like Perez and Campbell and people like that, I'm talking about players who are currently playing in our setup right now that are playing for their future. You let me know down below what you think. I'll tell you what, thinking about it, I've only just really thought about this. Perez must love the fact that Ven is going, because he wants to come back apparently to see if he can prove himself, because his Deportivo experience has been horrendous. So playing under a new manager would be excellent for him. But you guys let me know what you think. Is there anyone that you think I've forgotten? Leave it down below. Also, if you like this video, absolutely crush, destroy, drop kick the shit out of that like button. I appreciate it every time you guys do that. Alright people, take care. Peace!